there! So today I'll be going through the top 5 strongest dragons in DML with a couple of other noteworthy mentions too. There are hundreds and hundreds of different dragons in the game, but unfortunately, a grand majority of the best dragons are divines, and as such are locked down behind special events and or hefty paywalls. But this is just a list, so these are the dragons in order from highest attack and health stats first. Number 1, Freya. Freya is an insanely strong dragon with 288 base health and 89 base attack, with the divine, plant and wind elements. Freya's attack is ridiculous for a dragon that has the plant element, but the health stat on Freya is the thing that makes her so OP. There's no wonder they made her so blatantly overpowered, when the only way to get her is by collecting every other divine dragon and hatching them during the Norse divine event. Number 2, Pathol. He has the divine, shadow and light elements with a base health of 288 and base attack of 88. Pathol has just 1 point lower damage than Freya does, but he still is incredibly overpowered for the same reasons that Freya is. Plus, Pathol has the bonus of having the shadow element, which is arguably the best element in the game to have, especially on a dragon with an extremely high attack stat. Number 3, Odin. So Odin is a divine energy and shadow dragon with base health of 245 and base attack of 86. He doesn't have the insanely high health stats that the first 2 dragons on the list have, but considering Odin could be obtained by free-to-play players, he makes for an insanely hard-hitting dragon still. If you manage to get him from the Trials of Odin event, then pair him up with another aggressive dragon that has plant, and you already have an insanely solid team. Number 4, Ra. Ra is a divine, fire and light dragon with 244 health and 86 attack base. He was available in the exact same way as Odin by completing the Egyptian Divine Super Event Part 1 and 2. If you want a strong fire dragon, there is no better option out there for you than the Ra dragon. However, since he doesn't have the plant or shadow elements, he won't be quite as good at solo wrecking fights. He works a lot better in an evenly leveled team. And number 5, Loki Seth. Both of these dragons have the divine, shadow and plant elements with 244 health and 81 base damage. There are a couple of other dragons with a couple of attack points higher base than these two, however the plant plus shadow combination on a dragon is so insanely good at wrecking everything around them. Loki was much easier to obtain than Seth, since you only needed to find the key on level 6 for part 1 of the Norse Divine event to unlock him. But these dragons work on almost any type of team, since you can run 2 other aggressive dragons or 2 defensive dragons to buff them and make them extreme powerhouses, and either strategy works wonders. So those are the top 5 dragons in DML based off of their base attack stats and elements mainly. These dragons are mostly there to just whip out a buttload of damage, and as you probably noticed, every single one of them is divine and therefore limited time event only. However, I did also want to go through 3 notable mentions for dragons that actually are still insanely good depending on their team, but they're sort of sleeper OP. So the first honourable mention for this video would be the Ribbon Dragon. So this guy is actually a legendary light and plant dragon with 243 health and 82 attack. Unlike the divines, you can obtain the ribbon at any time by defeating the final fight in heroic mode quest 295, which to be fair, isn't exactly an easy task and will only be doable by those that have max level dragons. The interesting thing about this guy though, is that he has a higher base attack than the Loki and Seth dragons, and if you already have shadow on your team, you can always use the ribbon instead to give you the light element. Second honourable mention goes to the Anubis dragon. He's a divine, shadow and void dragon with 242 health and 82 attack. Before the void buff, this dragon was sort of laughed at as being really bad, because Shadow plus Void was a really terrible element combination. However, if you give Dark Ritual to this doggy and pop him into a defensive team to keep him alive while he steals all the opponent's buffs, this guy can be absolutely terrifying. I mean, 82 attack with Shadow is pretty scary to begin with, but this guy definitely fits into a specific niche and is much better than originally thought. Sucks that we can't get him anymore though. And the third and final honourable mention for today is the Aries Dragon. So the Aries Dragon is a Divine, Earth and Metal Dragon with 272 health and 70 base attack. So 70 base attack might seem incredibly bad, since it's worse than even some epic dragons, but the Aries is such an incredibly good defensive dragon, even if he still has 20 billion less health than Freya and Pathol base. The strat with him is simple: Earth Shield and Metal up and let the opponents hit you with whatever they have. Since Metal got a huge buff recently-ish too, enemies might end up taking 3 lots of damage every single time they attack you. If you couple the Aries Dragon with a Divine with the water elements such as a Nezha or Poseidon for example, it just becomes so incredibly difficult to ever die. So those are all of the best dragons in DML for me. There are lots of others that are also incredibly good and work well in the right team. And that's the most important thing to remember. The way your entire team interacts with one another and the synergies that they have is more important than individual dragon strength. Barring Freya and Pathol because, well, they just defy the normal laws of the game. Decide, do you want an aggressive team, a defensive team, or a team that has the potential to do a little bit of both? No matter what you choose or have already chosen, I hope you thought properly about it, because nobody wants to spend 2 years leveling up a team only to find out that it's garbage. But anywho, that is it for this vid, so thank you very much for listening. Let me know what your current team is or future plans for your final team, and we'll see what sort of dragons everyone's going to be rocking for the future. So thanks, and until next time, I will see you then.